Good morning. Happy Monday morning. Welcome into SimWorld today on this April 8th. I am Marsh, joined on the screen now by B-Ron. B-Ron, how are you doing on this Monday?
Doing all right, man. It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. How we doing? Good to be here, Marsh. Let's jump right into it.
A lot of action last night. Where we're going to start is the SWBA, where a handful of games and a handful of jostling for playoff and play-in positioning continues to occur. We'll start in the big state of Texas, where it took double overtime for the Rockets and the Mavericks to figure things out. It would be a Mavericks win that eliminates the Rockets from playoff contention, that solidifies our 10 teams in the Western Conference B-run, and it pushes the Mavericks now to 2 games up in the 5th spot, appearing to be eyeing and locking in closely to match up with the Clippers in the opening round.
Yeah, this was a really great game. It's a Texas rivalry game. We've seen some of prep games really good, and here in SWBA, another really great one. Double overtime, like you said, Mars. So this really lived up to expectations, I think, in terms of what was on the line for the Rockets in this game. Kyrie went crazy, 48 points. Dante Exum, the overtime, the shot to go into overtime to get there in the first place. It took so much for this game to actually come to an end, but in the end, man, Rockets are out of the playoffs as a result.
Well, they were pretty much out of the playoffs since the loss to the Warriors. That was really just a mathematical formality at this point. But this is a big win for Dallas, because the play-in positioning right now is very tight. The Pelicans and the Suns played. That was a Pelicans win. That snaps their losing streak. They draw even. They're both, I think, 45 wins. For Dallas, a loss there, and you slide back to just 1 game up on those two teams who are tied at 6 and 7. The Kings, who are struggling, and the Lakers, who are kind of rising up behind it. That's what this win does, is it gives you an outside chance to chase down the Clippers for 4, and it gives you a better chance of avoiding dealing with the play-in drama and not having to get caught up in the potential to maybe play a must-win game just to get into the playoffs. Now, I think what it also does is it gives you some certainty, B-Ron, that you're sitting at 5 and 4. The top 3 in the Western Conference are changing daily. That is between Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and Denver. At least in this case, you pretty much know who you're playing, being the Clippers, as opposed to you fall to 6, and it's a bit of a crapshoot in terms of who you end up matching up with in the first round.
Yeah, and it also brings you having to play an extra game, essentially, too. Like you said, that playing game to get into the playoffs, and then you have to go into a series of games against a team. So if you can avoid playing that extra game, I think that also does take some of that, I want to call it pressure, but we'll use that word pressure off of you for having to prepare for one team, and then you win that game and you gotta go prepare for another team the next day or whatever, however that works out. You know what I mean? So that also is a good thing to keep in mind too when you talk about the playoffs and the play-in tournament and all that stuff that comes with it.
On the other side of the docket, the Bucks lose their 4th straight game. They folded the Knicks last night. The Knicks rallied back. Jalen Brunson, 43 points. The Western Conference play-in race is competitive. The Eastern Conference, everything except the top seed race is interesting. As it sits currently, the Bucks, number 2 in the conference, 15 games back. They are just 3.5 games up on the 76ers, who have won 5 in a row and are the 7 seed. So there's a realistic shot here, as we're going to do quick math off the top of our head, with 4 games left for the Milwaukee Bucks. They've lost 4 in a row. There is an outside chance that they could fall all the way back to the play-in because of how poorly they've been playing. This is not a done deal for any of the teams right now in the Eastern Conference, but it feels, and the Bucks have been telling us this, B-Ron, for the last number of weeks. They have been telling us they don't know how good they are, because you've got Doc Rivers raising alarm bells. You've got Giannis Antetokounmpo raising alarm bells. This team does not feel like a team that can win an Eastern Conference, and it feels more and more like it wouldn't be a shock if they were to fall in the first round of the playoffs again.
Yeah, and it's a shame, really, when you look at some of the players they have on their team. They brought in Damian Lillard. They've got Giannis there, obviously. Doc Rivers will leave that for another day, but they have some talented players on that team. So when you get down to these last 4 games. You not only have you lost 4 in a row, but now you're down to the final 4 games here, and you're struggling now. That's not a good sign at all. And like you said, Marsh, I wouldn't be surprised if they did lose in that first round to a team that they have no business losing to, because they haven't, still, for some reason, haven't figured it out yet. It's wild to me.
I mean, they could certainly run into the Miami Heat again, depending on what this play-in looks like, which would be the ultimate troll job if the Heat can come back and win a second straight playoff series as a lower seed to a Bucks team that, just like we said, just doesn't seem to be able to figure things out. Despite the fact that they're 47 wins, that is the 6th most in the SWBA, 7th most in the league. So they're still going. We're going to head over to now, because where someone is not going, in a surprising breaking news, is Bronny James is not going to be playing for the USC Trojans ahead of their Pac-12 playoff games. This is the number 9 ranked team in the country. Bronny is averaging 19 points per game. He's actually had a really great year for the Trojans, who have come on late to the scene. This was a Pac-12. It looked like it was going to be UCLA. It looked like it was going to be Arizona State was flirting in that for a minute, and Arizona. Now suddenly USC Trojans number 9, and they're going to be without their best player as they head to conference play. How big of a loss is this for the Trojans?
This is huge for the Trojans. You can't lose a player of Bronny's caliber like he's been for them this season and expect to all of a sudden kind of figure out, get together for Pac-12 play. That is not good. Like, it really hurts for the Trojans to lose James. I don't see how they go on a decent run in conference play without having your top scorer there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, that's the challenge, right? This is a team that's got some skill set to it, but Bronny James has really stepped into a good spot. What I'm fascinated by is what this means for his next move, whether this is the SWBA or if this is a transfer of schools within SimWorld U. I think a lot of that's going to depend on the vibe that professional programs are giving. Despite him having a great season, from everyone that I've talked to that's both involved in the scouting process or any involvement in the SWBA, I think there's still some hesitancy at the SWBA level to what he is. 19 points per game in college is not nothing. But there's a lot of guys that average 19 points per game in college that don't turn out to be anything more than a specialist, if even making the SWBA. So while it's great that he's had a great season, and I think that's still a driving force of who this team can be in both the conference and then the national tournament, there's still a feeling that this is a guy that's got a lot of work to do. And he's been exceptional in terms of being an athlete this season, but he has not necessarily been the type of disruptive force that easily translates to the next level. And I'm not ruling that out, but by the vibes that I've been getting in some of the games that I've seen, it's not as if he's this shoo-in, okay, 19 points, he's a lottery guy. It's more of a, what do we actually got from this? What's underneath the hood? You've obviously got the long-term impacts of his health to consider as well. It seems as if that's probably shouldn't be one, but USC, as we check their schedule coming up, they have a date with the winner of Stanford and Arizona State in the quarterfinals of the Pac-12 tournament. All of those conference tournaments are getting rolling this weekend. So big opportunity for them, sans Bronny, to try to start putting together some W's. Headed over to SimWorld Prep is where we'll go, where we've got a big week ahead. 2 games on SimWorld TV on Tuesday, triple headers on Wednesday and Thursday, including our game of the week, Southeast Select, Beasts of the East. B-Ron, what are you most looking forward to this week? And let's start with that game. What are you looking forward to there in that matchup?
So this game is going to feature two of, in my opinion, some of the best coaches in SimWorld Prep, in Brett Lee and Desad Drayton. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those two match up against each other. It's very similar to that we saw, earlier in the season between Philadelphia and Beasts of the East, when it was in their win streak. Those two coaches make adjustments. They're very active with their teams. These two coaches are more the same. So I think that for me, the coach match is what I'm looking forward to most in that game in particular. But there's also, Isaiah James, Gabe Pope matchup. Very two defensive heavy, reliant guards for Southeast and Beast of the East. That's gonna be a fun matchup in that game as well. Yeah, there's a lot for that one. What about you, Mark?
Well, we're getting hot teams, right? Southeast
Yes.
Select has been phenomenal as of late. 4 of their last 5. Of course, Beast of the East has the longest active winning streak, 9 straight games. That's put them with the best record, not only in the Founders region, but all of SimWorld Prep. This is an exciting matchup because I think we're starting to see Southeast Select come into their own, right? We separated the league into this upper echelon, which was Beast, Philadelphia, Originators, Lakeshore, and Cascadia. I don't know that Southeast Select jumps into that, but after a very slow start, I think this has been a masterclass of a season of coaching by Bradley. He has done a phenomenal job in getting this team from where they were, which was struggling to find an identity in general after Trey Turner left, to having to find an identity again with the injury to Olvin Carballo. And now they've stepped in. They've got Gabe Pope playing exceptionally well. Dexter Jackson has emerged on the scene as maybe this is the guy that we're looking at as the focal point of next season. This has been an incredible job. And this is not to discredit Beasts of the East, Coach Drayton, Coach Drees, Coach Dodge, any of our Coach Pope. I'm leaving some out, but the coaches that are at the top of our league. That's not to discredit the performances that they've had all season long. But B-Run, this just feels different in Southeast Select because this was a team that you were relying on Trey Turner for the last 2 seasons, and you made the SimWorld, the Race to One championship the last 2 seasons, and it was okay. That's cute. Your window is gone because Trey Turner is gone. Now,
Right, that's what everybody
picking. Right.
coming
Am
into
I
the season, I feel
picking
like.
Southeast Select to win the race one? No, I'm not necessarily. But the fact that they're here, that you're asking those questions again after the roster shakeup and after the early season struggles has been a phenomenal job by Bradley.
Yeah, exactly. Been absolutely phenomenal job by him. You mentioned the loss of Trey Turner, and obviously, again, that was a huge loss for them. Kids going crazy at Tennessee with him and Henrik Beckich. So good to see he's still playing very well out there. But that was the big question mark around that team coming into the season, was how are they going to respond without having Trey Turner in the lineup? Because this was their first season without Trey Turner, and it started off a little rough. We mentioned the Carballo injury. We thought he was going to be the guy. We knew Gabe Pope was probably going to take a step. He did. Who was going to step in after the Carballo injury? Was it going to be Gabe Pope? Was it going to be Jackson? Somebody else? Trying to be Dexter Jackson. But I think we've also seen a few other players for that team come on and burst onto the scene here too. Brett Backer comes to mind for Southeast Select as well. They have another interior paint presence with Kadarius Stack on that team still. So I think him and Stack together are a great combination, and it'd be fun to watch them go up against JoJo Kearney and Levin Cutler in that game as well.
And worth pointing out, Southeast Select gets to the ever exciting date with Philadelphia on Tuesday night at 7. So they go in Philadelphia on Tuesday and then to Virginia on Wednesday to play Philadelphia Beast of the East on a back-to-back. So you want to talk about putting this team back into the spotlight. Southeast Select has a huge opportunity. If they could walk out of this week 14-8 with wins over Beast in Philadelphia, at that point I changed the tune to say I don't really care what the record looks like. You're proving to be able to beat good teams, and they're getting hot at the absolute right time. We got just over 1 month, about 2 months left of the SimWorld Prep regular season. Things are ramping up. I heard you mention it, B-Run. Quick hits. Most teams under 10 games left in the season. So the home stretch is upon us. We will be back tomorrow morning, of course, as we get ready for a big return to action from the spring break vacations are ending in SimWorld Prep. So we'll be back tomorrow morning. And, of course, we kick off SimWorld TV at 7 p.m. Thanks for tuning in for B-Ron and our production team. I am Marsh. We will talk to you bright and early tomorrow morning.